Okay, I look fucking. This shirt is too fucking tight. It makes me look fat. Makes me look like a fat guy trying to be like skinny in like a skinny shirt. Anyways, fellow observers of the human experience. All right, I just have like another weird thing that goes on in my head that I feel like I should share because take this with all grain of salt. Don't take this so literal or anything I say as factual. Just use your own discernment. I actually went out and bought a dry erase board just to make this video. Basically, what the point of it is I, for the longest time of my life, just always had this really strange relationship to like sound and music. And the visuals I get in my head when I hear certain genres of music or certain sounds. I basically see a lot of music as like wiggly lines. Let me explain. I know it sounds fucking stupid, and I would probably agree with you on that, but it makes fucking sense in my head. So I basically worked out like this three line shape system, and my camera's gonna fucking die. Of course. So anyways, let's just get right into it. And so I basically worked out these three different shapes and lines in which I distinguish different types of music, and I thought it would be interesting to uh, show the different Slipknot albums as these different shapes because that's really where it all started. I started seeing like all the Slipknot albums as like these different squiggly line shapes. So let me grab. This is the second time doing this video because I did it with a red marker and it was too fucking light and you couldn't fucking see it on camera. So I'm gonna use a blue this time. All right, so here I'll show you the three shapes to begin with, right? So here we have the first line, which I call the wiggly one. You still can't see it that good. So this is the first shape that I see music as. I would see the self-titled album definitely as this squiggly shape, right? Because I feel like the self-titled Slipknot album is very like, groovy. It's very bassy. It's very in the lower chakra, hip, like wiggle type of energy centers is how I see it. Like I see that album is very it's more groovy. It's less of like a quantized, squared off sound, right? It's very experimental. It's very cerebral. And that's how I see that album. I see it as having more of a wiggle to it, right? So then, um, Iowa. So that's a self-titled album, right? I see Iowa as having more of this type of shape, more of a zigzag type shape, right? Why is it so glary? It's so glary, but you get the point. A zigzag line, where Iowa is not all the way this quantized sound, but it still has that wiggliness of like self-titled, but it is like a lot more, getting into like a more guttural sound, right? It sounds less experimental and less cerebral as a self-titled and more in the chest. It's more uh primal sounding, especially like Left Behind. Left Behind is a perfect example because it still has that wiggliness, like the but then you come in with those drums, it's very just it sounds more in here than wiggle, right? Like the self-titled. My spine is so restricted. But anyways, so then we get into volume 3, and this is the third shape in this three-line system. I gotta do this before my camera dies. It's stressing me out. This shape, more quantized, more mainstream, less of a wiggle. It's more just very pit pat. You know, that's how I see Volume 3, and it really sticks out to me as having that squared quantized sound. Really different change of pace from like self-titled, Iowa, and just like all the Slipknot shit that came before it. So you can apply this to any genre, really. Like I'll let's put all the shapes together, right? So let me create a visual. Because we got squiggly, zigzag. Fuck, I'm trying to rush. This is fucking stressful. And then square. It's not a good square. If my camera dies on me, I'm gonna fucking. Okay, so Two Life Crew, everything up here, like I see emotions as these lines as well. Like anything horny and sexual, like I see as this shape, right? Anything aggressive is more this shape. Anything more just like straightforward, more informational base is this shape, right? So like fuck, you could apply this to rappers, right? Like okay, the fucking camera died on me. I fucking knew it. Anyways, fucking part 2. The fucking camera died on me like I knew it would. I was trying to rush through it. Anyways, so back to what I was saying. If you were to apply this to rap, right? Like let's put this in. Let's just start naming bands and artists, right? Like I would say, okay, popular rappers, right? I would say anything XXX and Tentacion. I would say a lot of his music sounds like Zigzag. Some here as well. I would say he teeters the line. I think a lot of his early shit probably fluctuated more from here to here, but then I would say like his more recent stuff is like teetering in between these two. I would say like anything Ski Mask is very heavily wiggle, very heavily here is like a lot of the Ski Mask music. Let's say okay, like Tom McDonald is like heavily here, like the epitome of this shape. I think is Tom McDonald. Oh, is this fucking battery gonna die too? I would say like okay, like bands like Linkin Park, probably somewhere in between. Fuck, that's kind of a tough one. I think they kind of touch all the shapes. A lot of Linkin Park, but I would say they primarily reside within this shape. What's another artist? I would say like a lot of Ariana's shit fluctuates in here. She like I think a lot of pop music is always like in here. That's interesting. I never thought about Ariana in that way. What shape she would fall into. I would say a lot of my music, fuck. I would say it has to reside fluctuating between these two. There's a lot of my shit. Very wiggly and then zigzag a little bit. Who else? Who the fuck is out right now? What are some popular artists? I'm drawing fucking blank right now. I would say 6ix9ine is like, heavily here. Heavily zigzag is like a lot of 6ix9ine music. 6ix9ine, trying to think. Yeah, like Zillakami, definitely here. Definitely a lot of like, all that heavy aggression is definitely zigzag shape. I had to look at like a list of like artists. Metallica is definitely zigzag. This is fun. You can like do this forever. Yeah, Eminem. Well, I would say all the Slim Shady shit definitely in here. Slim Shady, like early Eminem shit, like all that shit is definitely in here. Real Slim Shady, My Name Is, definitely heavily resided in this shape. Definitely as Eminem progressed, he definitely got more here. Pretty much everything modern Eminem is probably around this shape as well. Let's see. Michael Jackson is definitely wiggle, like definitely up here. You start to see what I'm saying. Like you kind of catch on to like the vibe I'm getting. Like I don't know, it makes sense in my head. It's weird. I don't know how this came to be, but I started seeing like I would say a lot of Kanye is probably like I don't know, probably at the end of Wiggle and probably into a lot of Zigzag. I would say a lot, same thing with Drake probably. But yeah, I don't know, I'll have to think of more artists to like put into this system. But yeah, that's how I see shit. That's how I see, I also started seeing like Slipknot albums, like, y- um, as fucking zodiac signs. It's just like this is just shit that makes sense in my head. I don't know. I felt it'd be interesting to share what other people think about that. Let me know. Let me know what you think of the 3-line system that I kind of categorize music by. What artist would fall under, each one. I'd really want to hear what other people's perspectives are on this. So that's really it. I mean, I don't really have much more to say about that. You can just apply it to like so many artists. So, all right. Well, that's that. Let me know what you guys think. Peace.